Hey everybody, welcome back. All right, gonna jump on this water issue a little bit more and see what I can get done today. I do have a couple of extra implements that I found in my storage building right here. I have kind of a pick and a really nice big heavy hoe. I think these can help me kind of break up the ground a little bit and make a trench, help channel that water and keep it, number one, out of the yard, and number two, get it out of the yard. I'm going to look at two main areas today. The one that I mentioned before, up the ramp there, right in that field. I want to see if I can create some kind of trench at the top there to try to get the water to not come down this way. And then over there, where the water is pooling up around the guest house kura, I'm going to try to get that area dug down so that that water drains out. Let's give it a try. I'm going to use this big pick to try to break up the ground first a little bit, and then I'm going to try to use this to pull it out. Let me show you the area where I'm going to be doing this at, because this water is coming down steady, steady, steady from right up here, right here. This is where it's coming from. There's water coming from over there, water coming from right there, water from, you can hear it. It's so ridiculous. I can literally hear from this spot, I can hear waterfalls from like 5 different areas. It's crazy, right? What I've got to try to do is find some way to channel it away from this wall, or at least out of, away from the yard. And this appears to be a low spot, so right over this hump here, I'll see if I can kind of dig this out a little so that the water can more easily flow around. Okie dokie. I'm gonna have to go get the other tripod because it's kind of tricky setting up the camera here, but I want to show you a little bit of what's going on. I just used the hoe to clear all this out right here, okay? And what you can see is up here, I did a little bit of clearing out. Yeah, I hear you over there. Like I mentioned before, the water's coming out here, and there's a little gully kind of right here where it's coming down from that house and their fields. And of course the water, there's a wall right here. It comes here, comes to a point, goes over here. There's water coming out of that. It's creating kind of a stream down through here and all the way out here, and this field is just full of water. And where it's coming right here, it's draining down right here to over here, and from this way it's all just coming over that and down here, and that's why it's draining down this ramp and into my backyard. So basically the field back here, it's not able to contain the water, of course, and whatever drains are in place to get this water from here around my property or through the drains, the pipes and stuff, they're clogged or insufficient, and so that's why this is running over. This shouldn't run over like this. Just like the rice fields in the front, they don't overflow. If they get to be full, then they have drains to let the water out to flow into the next field, and so on and so on. But back here it's getting stuck. So I just have to find the areas where it's supposed to be draining, where the drains are, and then get that cleared out. So you can see it coming down from there, and all of this is wet right down through here. And the water, of course, you can see it's coming out of the wall right there, and it's just pooling up out here. This is the field behind my house. Okay, you can see my house right through the bushes there, right? Barely. And right here is my wall, and this field right here is just completely full of water. That's why the water is just non-stop coming through my wall. There are a couple of main parts where it's coming out very fast, but overall the water just comes through the entire wall when it rains like this. When it rains a lot, it's so saturated, can't hold it all, and it's just going through the wall right into my backyard. Crazy. It looks like there's an old can here. Yeah, it's just full of old bottles and cans. Big barrel, old metal barrel, just abandoned there. There's another barrel right there. It looks like it has some of these. Maybe I can zoom in. I don't know if you can see those, but those are plastic partitions, dividers, that you use for like a garden. There are several of them stored in that barrel right there. They're probably still good. They're made of plastic. I've got a few of those in my kura, my storage building. So if I need those, I can always just grab them, but I'm gonna have to trudge through the water first. It's a daunting task, and I don't know how much I can get done out here, but I'm gonna give this a whirl for a little while to see if I can try to make a trench here to make it easier for the water to get away from this area. And I'll see how it goes. Before I run out of energy, I do want to go and make my stream a little bigger next to the guest house kura because I want that water out. So we'll do this for a few minutes and see how it goes. If I feel like I'm not really making much progress, then I'll save my energy and then go over to the guest house kura. Okay everyone, my battery's about to die on the phone even though I charged it up. I guess that's just the nature of an old iPhone. The battery's not that great. But I will tell you really quickly what I found. My neighbor's house is right up there. There's water running in right here, right? And it's forking, it's going two different directions. It's going over here, which is what I've been working on, and it's going over here. This side over here is going directly over the wall right by my old shed, and this is the one that's leaning really bad. So I'm going to try to divert this water so that it's all going to the right and this way. I think that this channel that I'm digging right here, it's going to be easier to control where that goes, get it all into one main point, and then channel that out and around the house. Okie dokie. I blocked off the fork. Now the water is running all the way down through here, along here, and that way. And it's flowing steady. Seems to be okay. Okay, so how's the water coming down the ramp? Well, you take a look for yourself. It stopped. There's no more water coming down this ramp. And if you come up here and listen, I don't know if you can hear it or not, but there's no more water coming in behind the shed here. There's a little bit of dripping that I can hear, but there's no water steadily coming down here anymore. Big win. Big win. Whew, I did it. Oh man. I'm so muddy. Gonna take a quick break. Whew, okay. I actually got done more over there than I thought I was gonna get done. And I didn't use as much energy as I thought I was gonna have to. You know, working in that mud and water back there is filthy. I've got that huge farming hoe that I found in my kura that I just used. The thing is heavy and massive, but man, if you use it right, it works really well. It works so much better than that light hoe that I have. The one that I have is really for light gardening, but this one is like a beast. It is a farming implement, and the good thing is that it's efficient. If you raise it up really high and you bring it down, it's easy to pull that stuff. It's easy to cut it and pull it up and do some trenching and things like that. Even pull up some stones. It's very useful for all those things. But it takes a lot of energy. And on top of that, well, what's another benefit, rather, is that because it's so wet back there, the ground is very soft and moist, and it's much easier for it to just kind of chop right in there. But not only is the hoe pretty heavy and all of that, but pulling that stuff out of the ground and picking it up and moving it around, it's rough work. I'm having another cheat. This is zero sugar, zero caffeine Coca-Cola. You know, there's only one design flaw with that hoe. When you're chopping and then trying to wedge, pull up big pieces of grass and cut out big pieces of the soil and move it, the mud and the water just explode. And guess what? The primary direction it goes is all over me. So this shirt I just washed yesterday, but now it's covered in mud splatters. I'm glad that I changed my pants, because the pants that I had on were very light, very thin pants, not good for outdoor work. And I figured I was going to get muddy, and I was right. So I tossed on these old blue jeans. Actually, the seat of these blue jeans is just completely torn out. So I wouldn't wear them anywhere else. I was wearing them into town sometimes. I would forget when I was doing stuff here, and I'd go to town, I'd forget, and I'd just be walking around with these pants on with a big, huge hole in the crotch or in the back, in the rear end. So I'm sure many people were just like, oh, is that a foreign style? At least I hope that's what they were thinking. I want to check two things. One is I want to see if what I just did over here, redirecting that water, is causing the water flow over here to be stronger. Secondly, I'm going to see about trenching down around the guest house kura and getting that pool of water drained out. But first, let's check our drugs. I mean social media. By the way, there was an earthquake in Ishikawa Prefecture, and I got a warning online asking me if I was safe or if I was affected. And of course, I'm not over there, so I'm okay, in case any of you were wondering. It was over 6.1 magnitude, I think, at the epicenter. A few days ago, there was a 6.5, and then there was another one. According to the news a few days ago, about 22 people were injured, and one person was killed. It's unfortunate, but could have been a lot worse. Something we haven't really talked about too much. In my video that I made a while back about how to find an Akiya, my very first video that I made in that series, it talks about some of the things that you should consider before you search for a house. I think that this applies for any place in Japan, so it doesn't matter if you're looking for an Akiya or not, like an unoccupied or empty house, or if you're looking to build a house, it doesn't matter. I think that you should consider the area where it's located, because of course Japan is famous for earthquakes, or you could say infamous, but there are some places in Japan that have few earthquakes, or rarely have earthquakes, and even when they do, they're just kind of like tremors. They don't have anything major. And this is one of those areas where I live. The thing here is to get a place that you don't have to worry about flooding and landslides. That's the main issue here. There's a lot of rain. We've got a bunch of small mountains and lots of slopes and things like that. So you want to definitely be somewhere that is not at a threat of being damaged or destroyed by landslides, mudslides, floods, and things like that. So that's the main consideration around here. If you avoid that, then there's typically no problem, because other than that, you don't have to worry about hurricanes or typhoons. You know, you don't have to worry about tornadoes, major thunderstorms. I mean, there are rains, and sometimes they're kind of heavy. But like I said, as long as you're in an area that's built for that and that can handle it, then there's nothing to worry about. Of course, you always want to have a house that's strong and that can take an earthquake. But the magnitude and frequency of earthquakes that happen in other places, such as Ibaraki, for example, Ibaraki seems to always be having earthquakes. And as much as I like that area, and there are a lot of Akiya available in that area, I just thought it was interesting how when I was in Tokyo, I felt several earthquakes. And most of those, the epicenter was in Ibaraki. And Ibaraki is east of Tokyo, and I've flown in and out of Ibaraki Airport many times. I like it out there. I think it's very beautiful, and it would be nice. It would be a nice place to live, I think, except for the fact that they have a lot of earthquakes. So that's one of the things that you really should consider when you're looking for a place in Japan. Whether you're looking for an old house or not doesn't matter. Even if you get a brand new house, it's still important that you take into consideration the hazards of that particular area. And that doesn't just mean earthquakes. That means other hazards as well. Okay, so maybe a tsunami warning area, flooding zone, mudslide, landslide areas, etc., etc. These are all things that you have to be aware of and take into consideration, unless you just don't care. And I know it sounds crazy, but I have heard from people before that they've been looking at houses, and I've mentioned that's really close to a slope, you know, it looks kind of dangerous or whatever. And they're like, I don't care, you know, I'm ready to go. Okay, well, to each his own, I guess. But if you care about yourself and the people that you're with, you're living with, then yeah, you should care and take that into consideration. Okay, well, I think I've rested enough. Time to go out there and see what I can do about that water by the guest house Kura. Look how ridiculous this is. How much mud I have on me. Nonsense. That's all for now. Thank you for joining me, and I will update this as soon as I finish, okay? Arigatou gozaimasu. Thank you, and じゃあね.